moving into position, gentlemen. Anything you've seen early?
A little bit of niggle, Chad Fletcher, and I think it was Kieran Jack having a little bit of a tete-a-tete there. So a little bit of physical stuff early on. Peter Everett pushing forward for the Swans. They've got a couple of tools, Playfair as well. O'Loughlin out of the square, so it's a dangerous looking forward setup. And
we saw Michael O'Loughlin there in the famous number 19, Jason. He passes you tonight. The most games by any player ever in the great number 19.
Well, I don't know if the number 19 is officially great. It's not that good a number, but you know what? When you've got a jumper on, you don't really care about the number, Dwayne.
You made it great, Jason. Don't underestimate it. We are underway at Subiaco.
Selwood on Goods, and he's going to go with him hard.
And Goods has gone down hard. Gee, you predicted that well. Goods is still down.
Well, Steenline came through very physical in that contest. Obviously want to exert a lot of physicality West Coast early, as we see there. Missed him.
Yes, but Adam Goods made it look like he got him. Cox in the ruck. He'll be a key tonight. He's in good form. Maybe another All-Australian season coming up, and Adam Goods also back in form, although that handball poor. Embley. Stengline. Little chip kick. Wilkes is okay, although it's cut off by Roberts. Thompson. Half ridden. Stolen by Seaby. Back in the direction of Nikoski. Toward goal. Bounces it through. The opener for the West Coast.
Well, I'm going to credit the goal to Mark Seaby because he got caught on the back foot when the ball came in as a quick kick. He followed it up, and instead of being reckless in his decision to tackle, he basically rolled the play, kept the ball alive, and that's what you want to do in the forward line. Great start, great for the confidence of Mark Nikoski. Been much maligned and criticised in and out of the side, but that'll do his confidence the world of good. Good start, West Coast, but a very productive forward line early.
First goal of the year for Mark Nikoski. Speak about the history of these two teams. Mark Nikoski played in the losing grand final team for the West Coast, but not the winning grand final team. Has that in common with the Swans' Jared McVeigh, who played in the loss but not the win for Sydney. We are underway again in this opening term. We've seen some heavy clashes already. They have got a great tradition in recent times, these two. Paul Roos coaching from the box.
Kieran Jack's got the job on Daniel Kerr.
And Brett Jones on Ryan O'Keefe. So be looking forward to that, Jill, because both players are in All-Australian form.
Slick hands, Selwood, Cox, Kerr, the usual suspects. And the King of Subiaco finishes.
Well, we know he's a super player, but I'll tell you what we saw there was some explosive speed from Daniel Kerr. He was really pressed. He had his opponent right on his hammer in Kieran Jack, but he just found another gear, and the ability to kick straight and to kick cleanly when you're running at 100% maximum pace is a very, very great skill to have, and not everyone has it, let me tell you right now.
Well, if there's any concerns about his hamstring, which he tore earlier in the year, he certainly put it to rest then. Good start by West Coast, open forward line.
Daniel Kerr putting the rumours to rest also in the last couple of weeks that he might leave the West Coast at the end of this year. He won't be heading to Carlton or anywhere else. And the crowd love him here. 2-0. Swansea had to go inside 50, and Cox rips it out of the air. He's dominating early. He'll pick up at half-back, Richards. Okay, no one came at him. Barry. But a couple of options on. Heads to Kieran Jack. And he takes on Seaby. Little sidestep was good. Jude Bolton. About to go into their half for the first time. Richards again. And he thumps it long. O'Loughlin in a one-on-one with Glass. That'll be a good battle tonight. Jones missed Wilkes with a handball. And Wilkes content to see it out of play.
It will be a good battle, Dwayne, but that's the sort of kick that'll favour Darren Glass. The long, high ball that Michael O'Loughlin has to prop under is not the ball that he wants delivered from further afield by his teammates.
Jolly and Cox. Moore. Buchanan lost it. Embley. No high tackle. Nikoski stole it. We'll get a ball up.
Stengline playing at half forward for the Eagles, and he's got the job of stopping the run from half back of Tyg Kennelly.
Braun, Graham, Butler and Staker. Good to see Sam Butler back. First game for him since the 2006 grand final, if you can believe that. Matner. Fletcher, Wilkes. And Kerr. He's got a 100% record with his possessions at the moment, Bo Wilkes. It's an amazing record. 3 games and he hits the target every time with them. Fletcher can't hit the target this time. Wirapunda peels back. Richard Swans with the numbers. Wirapunda, little toe poke.
Did well.
Now needs to hit a target. A spear or a pass. That's a push or a trip or take your pick. He got none of them. Selwood caught high, and Selwood will line up to make it 3 goals to 0.
I've got Adam. It's in the book.
In the book.
Now, I don't think it was front on, but he certainly made contact to the head. He came from the side. He's got the head over the ball. That's not front on. That's running from the side. But the problem is he did make contact with the head, and that will certainly be looked at very closely, as we heard the umpire say. It's in the book.
And was it Selwood that got him at the opening bounce?
Sting line.
Okay.
I don't think it did a lot of damage either.
No,
you'd like to think.
You know what? You stay away from the head. That's the golden rule at the moment.
So he has been booked. Adam Goods, the 2-time Brownlow medalist, is in the book. Adam Selwood with a chance to make it a 3-goal-to-0 start. The crowd enjoying this.
Oh, look at him go. Well, this is about the best thing that could have happened, Jacko, for the game tonight. Sydney come over here, short price favourites. They're expected to wallop West Coast. West Coast go bang, bang, bang. 3 goals on the board. All of a sudden, a little bit of doubt in Sydney's mind. And we mentioned prior to the start of the game, they've only won one of their last 9 here, Sydney.
That's right. And it's very important West Coast maintain their pressure. The pressure in their work rate at the minute is fantastic, but they've got to stay disciplined. They're in Sydney's heads at the minute. Adam Goods will be interested to see how he goes for the remainder of the game, knowing he's on report.
Adam Goods, reported. We can't show it again until after the game. That's the AFL rules. If you're wondering why we're not going to give you 8 different angles of it, that's the rules. Fletcher, quick to Kerr. Now Wirapunda stands under. Good fist from Bolton. Hand up is good from Marston. Wirapunda. Inside 50, Hunter almost. And that's almost a free to Butler. It's caught high, caught in the back.
Well, I heard the umpire say in the side, but
missed opportunity, Jacko, because that was a super pass from Wirapunda.
It was, but I like the pressure West Coast actually capitalising on the scoreboard. In previous contests with Sydney, they dominate the first quarter, yet they come in at quarter time only a goal up. I've got to continue this good work and keep Sydney chasing.
Buchanan's a Magna gone. The big Q sized him up. Quentin Lynch couldn't wait for him to get that ball so he could dump him. We'll get a ball up.
The other thing to take into consideration, as we hear the umpire give his description of the tackle, great tackle by Quentin Lynch, but the other thing we've got to take into consideration is that John Walsall diffused the situation, saying they're not going to use the Barry Hall incident from round 1. But I can tell you, there's 18 possessed players out there, and they would have been talking amongst themselves. As players, we owe this mob one, and at the minute they're demonstrating it.
Yeah, the players know. And tell the media what you like, but the players, they know what fires them up. McVeigh, handball, quick fire handball to Buchanan, missed him. Nikoski kicked the first goal to Houlihan, his first touch. They do have some young players out there, the West Coast. Selwood, back to Houlihan, and he's caught, but he got a kick away.
Did well.
Well manufactured. Butler, first touch for Sam Butler since the 2006 grand final. And a ball out of play will get a ball in.
Just seem to be winning the 50-50s, West Coast. They got Sydney a little bit rattled in the middle of the ground. They look like they're on their way there, but a fumble, as we see. Got his kick away.
Did well to get a foot to it, didn't he? It was a super tackle from Adam Goods.
Jolly took it out of the ruck to Buchanan, straight up in the air with the kick. Houlihan couldn't mark it. And Jones might be content to see this out, and he has one of the biggest tasks of the night on Ryan O'Keefe.
He does. I was just going to ask Jacko, what's Brett Jones' tank like? Because he's going to get a workout tonight.
Very good rebounder, but plays a very good defensive role one-on-one. So good matchup for West Coast.
Jolly got rid of Cox, who gets the possession from Wilkes. Kicks it to full forward. Seaby came hard. Selwood. Kick and hope. Leach stands under it with strength. Almost. Kerr likewise. He was caught by the leg. Umpire said no. Butler. He's caught. Ball up.
Gee, they got him on the back foot, Jason. West Coast are really attacking that forward line at the minute. Well, he dropped that one.
He dropped the first one, and maybe that's a square up the second one around the legs.
Umpire knew. He made the mistake. Couldn't make it worse. Kennelly.
It's a panic kick.
Out of play on the full, well described.
Jason,
18 plays nil.
They're playing panic football.
Yeah, well, Sydney don't do that. When they win possession down back, they run, they set things up. That was just to throw it on the boot, get it out of here because we're under siege.
Nikoski took a step around. Lynch. Got hands to it.
Had to take that. He's in the position he had. Best position to mark that.
McVeigh to Matner. Now O'Keefe. Speaking of Tank, he feeds back and suddenly glasses on him, which means O'Loughlin has Embley.
I think that was just they were zoning up and they've been caught in transition.
And O'Loughlin doesn't go for it, leaves it, and that's a mark to Bevan. Gee, called play on initially, the umpire.
A great mark at top pace with Brett Jones right on his hammer. Took a couple of grabs, but did well.
They need a steady air. Sydney's the first time they've gone from one end of the ground to the other unaided, but they've used the ball well here.
Tough kick, but he's been accurate this year. Paul Bevan, 5 goals, 1. And he misses. First score for Sydney. When they met earlier this year, the much publicised round 4 game, the Swans won by 62 points. It was a demolition in more ways than one, and Barry Hall's been out ever since. Wilkes to Lynch, and Fletcher jumped in, dropped it. Well attacked. The little handball out did Brent Staker. Started on the bench, so is now on. Braun. McVeigh. Richards. Now Kennelly. That was a more measured kick. Wasn't any panic in that. Malcheski, who assistant coach for the West Coast, Peter Sumich, said looked a bit weak at the knees during training this week. Kicks to full forward. Clash of the two big men, O'Loughlin and Jolly, bumped each other. And on the rebound, the West Coast had the numbers. Fletcher.
Right there, Lewis. Right there.
Brent Staker.
He comes off for a spell, Fletcher, after that kick. Prittis on to replace him.
Staker, of course, the man Barry Hall hit. Cox left it behind. Mopped up his mess well. Embley. Only one-on-ones ahead of him. Goods! Nice mark.
You know you're in some form when you're going to leap 3 deep like that and you're in the back line.
That is brilliant, isn't it?
Right there.
Surprise, surprise, there weren't a lot of people in the crowd cheering it. Barlow.
Move it on.
Another player who started on the bench, and he's turned it over. Glass.
Right there, June.
It's a touch running off O'Loughlin. Butler.
Right there, Michael.
O'Loughlin on Butler's mark.
Yours.
To Embley.
Hang on. Yours.
31 possession game last week against Collingwood, Andrew Embley. So also in good form. Wilkes hits the target yet again. Graham.
I don't know that this is necessarily the style that West Coast want to play, though, Jacko. They hit Sydney early by playing fast, go-ahead attacking football. This is Sydney's caper, this stuff.
Well, you're right there, but on one hand, you deny the opposition possession of the ball. You deny them to be able to get their setups and start to get some flow in their game. And Sydney still, at this early stage, you know, the 13-minute mark, haven't got any real flow. Only had the 1 shot on goal. So, but you're right. I would like to see West Coast continue to put that pressure in the forward line.
Lewis Roberts-Thompson didn't hold it long enough. Good bump from Wilkes. Barlow under pressure now. Lynch came at him. Wilkes. Lynch. Good kick. It's a 2-on-2. Full forward. Flyers go up. Warapunda stayed down. Waited for it. The cavalry arrives. Warapunda sees it out of play. 18 plays 1. Barely a spare seat here at Subiaco.
Oh, I think that's a mark. He took that cleanly before the ball got punched out, but it was called play on, so good pressure from the Eagles.
It was in slow motion. He did appear to hold it long enough with that replay. Gee, Staker through traffic, dropped it.
But at least if they're going to make mistakes, be positive, be attacking, take risks. Well, that's what Brent Staker was doing.
Jason, the criticism of Brent Staker is that sometimes he attack on the ball. Now, I don't mind that he got penalised, but look, he's hit one contest there. He's hit another one. He's tried to take a few blokes on. At least he showed some physicality, and John Morsell will be very happy with that.
Roberts-Thompson to O'Keefe.
Right there.
Short option is Henry Playfair.
Play on.
O'Loughlin No one's in the goal square at the moment. Back to Playfair, who could go long. Back to O'Loughlin. Still no one back. O'Loughlin looks up. Now thinks about it, but it's too late. Players get back now. The kick, a wobbler, a dribbler. Barlow made it good. Malcheski. Play on, Pritis. Handball straight back to Malcheski, who dropped it. To Kirk, who misses. Only a behind.
Well, the one positive for West Coast is they're putting immense pressure on Sydney, and Sydney have had a couple of opportunities, but they still haven't been able to get that settler, to get themselves on the board and make them feel a part of the game yet. They're still feeling the pressure, Sydney. It's been a great opening 15 minutes from the West Coast Eagles.
It's the call to play on. Still must kick it to himself unless he kicks it through. It's okay.
Yeah, and you don't mind that. No reason to panic. Yes, you're giving away a point. It means your structure probably wasn't right the first time around, but make sure you get it round.
The way these two sides have battled over the last couple of years.
Points are risky.
That might be risky.
Hand in the back.
Hand in the back against Jude Bolton. Tyson Stingline's free. Contested possessions 25 to 16 at the moment. The scoreboard reflecting that.
Yep.
Butler getting a lot of it since coming on.
Yep.
Hunter, second grab not there. Selwood flicks out a handball. Wirapunda wants a target, hits Lynch, maybe just within range.
Oh, surely not. Surely not. That would take a monster roost. He can launch it.
He is a monster.
Oh, no, he's going to go.
The crowd know.
Don't they love it when he takes the glove off?
When it comes to things like this, I'm just a patron here at the footy hoping for something big.
But having said that, this would be inspirational.
He'll go very close here. He'll go very close here.
Not bad. It's got the carry. Touched. Free kick on the line. And it'll be a Swans free.
It was a good kick.
Spider, that side. Spider, that side.
But that's his range. That's what he's got to do, is just show that authority. 50 out, 55 out, go back, and get it in there real quick, because the Sydney defence is under all sorts of pressure at the minute. They're on their back foot. They're making a few mistakes, and West Coast have got to continue this work rate and capitalise on this opportunity.
You wouldn't think Peter Everett is Sydney's usual kick-in man, and he kicked in then to Bolton, to Goods, boundary line. Goods gets the booze. If you joined us late, he's been reported the two-time Brownlow medalist for a high bump to the side of the head.
Play on, you're up, play on. Yours.
Just a pop pass, Jude Bolton.
Stay out, Chris.
Play fair, and fumbles it out of play, as you heard the umpire call play on. The umpires tonight, big job on their hands. Chris Donlan, Hayden Kennedy and Matthew Head. Here's this kick again.
Kicked it from a long way behind the man on the mark.
Little toe poke was okay. Back to the midfield. McVeigh, it bounced unkindly for him. Jude Bolton caught by Marston. Back to McVeigh. And Everett's all on his own. 60 from goal. O'Loughlin calls for it back long. It's past O'Keefe. Beaten for it by Jones. They get away with it. Wilkes hits the target again. Marston up against the line. And a good fist out of play by Leo Barry. Ball in.
Talking about Mo Wilkes, he's certainly setting up for West Coast off that half-back line. He's playing that roving role and rebounding quite effectively. And just a concern for Sydney, because they want to man him up, because he's hitting targets, as you said before, Dwayne.
And this is just his third game. Ball up will occur here, you would think. No one's getting it out. Yeah.
We're watching at it.
Bo Wilkes, by the way, even though it's only his third game, too old to win an AB Rising Star nomination. 22 years of age. Everett knocks it down, and Kerr kicks it from midair. Madner, good tackle, got the handball out. McVeigh. Braun. They can reload the West Coast. Tough kick to mark. Houlihan made it okay. Wants to dish off. The Harrow Thunderbolt. Wobbles it inside 50, and Barry cuts it off with a good mark.
Unfortunately, just wasn't the right kick going forward. It was a little bit wobbly off the boot. A little bit too slow, and just allowed Leo Barry to get back in the space.
Ty Kennelly bounced kindly. It was an ordinary kick, but it was a gold medal bounce. Kennelly takes on Stengline, and Mrs. Barlow. So Houlihan on the rebound. Wilkes, 60-metre launch. Once again, Wirrapunda stays down, peels back, might get this. Well read, David Wirrapunda.
And you know what? He knew as soon as he picked up the ball, Brent Staker, that Wirrapunda had taken off Goldwood. That was just a brilliant kick, and you can see teammates going over to Brent Staker now, Jago.
Oh, just a fantastic contest. Good vision by Brent Staker. He's had a good start to this quarter. He's really working hard. He's got to continue to do that, but this is scoreboard pressure that we spoke about. And West Coast are not letting Sydney off the hook here because they can open up a nice little lead here and continue that pressure on their opposition players.
Been 50-50 in front of goal this year, David Wirrapunda. 11 goals, 9. Or 51-49 if you like. 4-0 start for the West Coast.
Well, Jason, West Coast pressure's been fantastic, but one thing I've noticed about Sydney, they have overrun the ball a few times, fumbled the ball a few times, so they're just a little bit off their game at the minute, and West Coast are certainly capitalising on it. Moving forward, they've got a very active forward line. They're getting it in there with a fair amount of pace, which puts defenders on the back foot, and that's very hard to combat.
It's interesting what a loss by the 8th team on the ladder, North Melbourne, last night can do to the psyche of players who thought they might have no chance of making the finals. West Coast Eagles, you wouldn't think could win the flag, but they get a run going. All of a sudden they might be in the group of 5 or 6 teams vying for 8th spot. Kerr. By the way, the West Coast Eagles have Essendon next week. And after that, 6 more games at Subiaco. Early stages of this game, but a good start.
Second down, Dean Cox, your ball. Anybody jumper?
Against Jolly, Dean Cox free, you heard it. Braun, he's got some room to move. Needs to hit a target. Bombs it long. Hunter went up, couldn't mark it. Goods, the third grab. Has paid it.
Give it to him. Give it straight to him.
Crowd don't like it. They're booing him for more ways than one.
It's a mark. It's a mark. There was no other hands in there, so he controlled it. Good decision up.
Lewis Roberts Thompson meets Jones, who simply stood his ground. Roberts Thompson ran into him, and he bounces up like a rubber ball. Fletcher. No free. Good fist from Barry, according to the umpire. Selwood takes it out. Ball in.
Jason, you would appreciate this. Adam Hunter has barely had a possession, but he's had about 8 different leads, and he's creating the hole in spaces. Fantastic vision here. Fantastic bump. Just held his ground. It was fair.
No advantage.
Free kick will be a West Coast free kick, but too far out for Daniel Kerr to score.
He's going to play on quickly here. Oh.
Big, long launch. That's goal from the superstar.
Well, I mentioned it before about Adam Hunter. He's possessionless. He's not grabbed the football, but I reckon he's had about 8 leads. He's hit the contest a few times, busted a few packs. He shepherds this one over the line, and that's what you want from your players, your big players in the forward line in particular. But they've got him rattled in the minute, West Coast.
Yeah, there are 1%ers that can contribute to the team's cause, and Adam Hunter's doing that. Every time he competes, the ball's hitting the deck, and that's allowing players like Wirrapunda to get involved in the play. So he's certainly providing a focal point.
Goal from a free for Daniel Kerr, and he does have the all-time frees for record of 8, which was against Sydney round 1 last year, when he got some treatment from the Swans and the umpires were awake to it. Got 8 frees that day, and he started well here with a couple of frees and a goal from one of them. From the ball up, Buchanan missed the target. Wilkes, Hunter, no mark, no free. Richards, wobbly, dangerous kick. Selwood, he parted the seas.
Oh, he's got to kick that.
Oh, Moses would have kicked it.
Yeah, right on the money there, Jace, because that was nearly the knockout blow in this first quarter. Once again, Adam Hunter doing a mountain of work, but just their decision making. They're rattled, Sydney. There's very Sydney like, but young Ryan Davis, he's getting underneath their guard. He's had 6 possessions. He's had a few inside 50, but no one's manning him up. No one's paying him the respect, and he's certainly having an effect when moving that ball into West Coast forward line.
Tell you where they're getting hurt, Sydney. Sydney are the #1 clearance team in the competition. West Coast are winning the clearances 12-4. West Coast are dominating the midfield, and that's putting Sydney's defence under pressure.
Malcheski. Cut off by Graham. Hutter.
Right there.
Held up. Jones. Glass. Swans getting numbers back.
Not the kick.
And one of them is Craig Bolton.
Just got to be a bit smarter there, because there's no one forward of the 50 or forward of the centre for Sydney. They're all playing in West Coast front half, and when kicks like that, you're better off just playing keepies off and keeping it and wait for Sydney to come to you. But you've got to be a bit smarter there, West Coast, going to the forward 50.
Yeah, if you're going to bomb the long kick in, it's got to happen quickly. Once they held play up, switched it, kicked the ball backwards, you knew there'd be numbers back waiting.
So Swans are getting numbers back, and now open forward line. Richards. Long bounce pass. Craig Bolton. Lead short. O'Keefe. Good stretch.
You know, Quentin Lynch made a bad decision out there. He left his man. He left his man, which was Bolton, out wide, and he came in when Michael Braun was in a position to pressure the Sydney ball carrier through the middle of the ground. All of a sudden, 2 players got drawn into the ball carrier. The hand pass finds Bolton in space. He then has no pressure and can deliver truly to O'Keefe.
Played 26 minutes opening term. This for the Swans' first goal. Crowd like it off the boot. It's a behind. And they are inside 2 minutes to quarter time.
It's coming down now,
Staring in the face of a goalless opening term. Prittis. And now Fletcher can run.
And Cox as well. Oh, he's missed him.
Embley, short. Stengline. Lynch. Shrugs the tackle with strength. Back to Embley, who ran on. Just gets the kick away. Rapunda with the motor. It's a free kick downfield.
Oh, boy.
Well done by Staker there. Drew his player, forced him to do it.
Against Leo Barry to Brent Staker.
Well,
You can't argue. It's clear as day.
We're lucky. We get the benefit of the replay. So we can call it with clarity up here, but the umpire's got to make a split-second decision, and Jacko, you're convinced he made the right one?
Yep.
For a 6-0 start. This game has been turned on its head.
Well, it's just that pressure.
Here?
Well, it's the pressure that you spoke about it before. If you're going to bomb the ball in, you've got to at least, as you can see, the arm around it. That doesn't show the true justice why the free kick was paid. But Brent Staker led his direct opponent straight to the goal square and just forced Leo Barry to touch him, feel him, because he lost sight of him, didn't know where he was, and got goal side of him, which forced him to put an arm around him. And the umpire was in the clearest position, and that's the new interpretation of the rule. Any jumper pulling or harassing him around the body, you'll get a free kick against you.
Swans came into this game as the favourites. Came into this game 5th on the AFL ladder to the West Coast 13th. And they came into this game, Sydney, having beaten the West Coast by 62 points earlier this year. And it's 6-1 to 4 behinds. Seaby flies. Jolly with the palm. Prittis with the clearance. Maybe time for another one yet. Craig Bolton back of the pack. Adam Goods dropped it. Rapunda. Goods. Bolton. Good tackle. Oh, Lynch with the man, not the ball. Goods with the ball, but can't find a target. We'll get a ball in.
I've never seen a Sydney fumble the football like they have in this first quarter. I mean, they just dropped it between the two of them there. Adam Goods, that's very unlike him. The ball was there to get. But, the West Coast pressure is superb at the minute.
No, I think West Coast have also targeted Adam Goods. They're
Seaby.
making contact at every opportunity.
Quick kick, picked up by Leo Barry. Now Goods, dangerous kick. The seconds tick. Selwood. Stengline. Swans free. And it'll be Nick Malcheski's free.
4 metres. Thank you.
Wouldn't think there's time enough for the Swans to score here. Leo Barry. About to get run down. Gem of a tackle. Matner caught. Dispossessed. Buchanan. They get out of trouble here, the Swans. They need this siren big time to regroup. Listen to the roar. Fans on their feet. Barely a spare seat at Subiaco Oval tonight. And the Sydney Swans coach Paul Roux said this week that round 4, the clash, the hit by Barry Hall was long forgotten. They haven't forgotten here. The West Coast 6-1-37. The Swans 4 behinds.
Tell you who's not panicking. Have a look at Paul Roux. He's whistling away to himself. He is as relaxed as anyone could be, given his team is 6 goals to zip down, and that's one of his strengths. He doesn't panic, and the players will feed off that.
Well, he's demonstrated great trust in his players to get themselves out of these situations. Yep. They've done it before, and he'll put the onus back on them. There's no need to rant and rave. And I mean, you can go right through the storybook, but at the end of the day, you're 6 goals to nothing at quarter time. So they've got 3 quarters to get out of this, and they've shown they've done it in the past. And I dare say, after that first quarter, they've got something to do, Sydney, because their ball handling skills, their attack and intensity on the ball, you know, they're just a little bit flat. So I'll be interested to see how they go in the second quarter.
Barassi, Hafey, Alan Jeans, did they whistle?
I don't think so. I don't think they look like
a different tune. They whistled a different tune.
From the ball up to start this second term at Subiaco, and the spiritual leader, Kirk, gets the first clearance, but it's cut off, and Kerr, an outstanding opening term, gets the 1-2 with Embley. And that kick, well, O'Loughlin could have had that almost.
Could nearly have gone, Michael O'Loughlin.
By Wilkes.
You, mate. Yes, yes, yes.
Fletcher. Good hands in front of Kirk.
Tell you what, for a bloke that's been out of the game for over 18 months, Sam Butler's done fantastically well. 7 possessions already, and just seems to be moving very comfortable in the midfield.
Jolly outreads Cox. Jude Bolden after the umpire. Matthew Head got out of the way.
Yours.
Now O'Loughlin waits. Can't get a fly at it. Well played by Glass.
3 on 1. Someone has to shepherd.
Jones to Kerr. Marston. That was a gem.
It had to be spot on to maintain possession. It was the only place he could kick it for Marston to mark the ball.
Thumps it along the boundary line, but not far enough because Richards gets back and marks. Out a little hushed. Different start to this term.
Back 2 metres, please. Play on.
Matner. Thumps it long, but ill-directed. Jones.
Not happy Rhino. Keith Hiley turned around and glared back at Marty Matner.
Marston. Been a good pick-up though, Marty Matner. He's played every game since moving from the Crows. Every game this year. Jolly and Cox. And Jolly thumps it out of play. We'll get a ball in. Speaking of good pick-ups, Darren Jolly. Premiership in his first year at Sydney, of course. And he'll be pretty happy he left the Demons. There's your man, Butler. Jacko continues to get it. Lynch. Caught.
Good work.
Got the arms up. Tyson Stengline. Ty Kennelly. Kennelly goes down, and Richards. Magnificent wrap-around tackle will get a ball up.
Well, now that the game's settled somewhat, you'll see the traditional man-on-man contest between these two sides. So the West Coast to continue the dominance here of this game, they've got to be mindful that Sydney don't free up some of their dangerous players.
Kirk runs into trouble, runs into a wall. 3 West Coast players put him down.
Ball up. Happy it wasn't out.
We'll get a ball up on the boundary line.
He was desperate for the ball to be thrown in, the central umpire, because it'd clear play a lot better than bouncing it here.
Matthew Head under pressure here. Oh, he's come in a metre. He's come in. Is he allowed to do that?
Good bounce.
Cox knocked it down. Marston caught by O'Keefe. Large number of players around this bounce. Jolly got a fingernail on it. Well played by Selwood. Got it out to Cox. Got a kick away. Lynch. Dragged down, got rid of it, no push. Kennelly, Kirk, McVeigh, Kerr, almost Jack. McVeigh the crumb, Jude Bolton. Glass comes at him, hands off to Glass's man O'Loughlin, to Ablett. Jared Moore, he can run and have a shot from 50. Slips the pass instead. Play fair.
Well, that's good play by Sydney. That's the one they were able to free up the man. After that inside 50 of West Coast, Quinton Lynch wasn't able to attain the football, and from there they were able to get that loose man at the back of the contest. They just kept running in numbers, and it's what's going to take Sydney, just their patience, play their game, evolve their game, and got an inside 50 now and have a shot on goal.
And we just saw Luke Ablett's first touch for the night. That's rare for him to not be able to get hold of the footy.
6 goals, 4 this year for Henry Playfair. For the first of the night, hits the post. Sydney Swans have 5 behind.
And now this is where the pressure builds. You miss a couple of regulation shots, the crowd starts coming into it. Oh, we can just hear the umpires there saying, watch Kieran Jack coming off the back of the stoppages.
They were talking to themselves there, the umpires, I think.
So Kieran Jack better be careful. Whatever he's doing, he better not to start picking off players or he's in stride.
But you're right, Jason, because Sydney have a chance here to swing momentum back in their favour and dominate the first part of the second quarter, but they're letting West Coast off the hook.
Marston, Selwood. Might be Kieran Jack's rugby background just helping him out there. He knows how to pick him off and do it kindly. Good battle between Barry and Quinton Lynch. Ball out of play.
But that's okay as long as West Coast are halving those contests and not turning the ball over. No damage done. Sydney can't build any rebounding attack from defence if they have to punch the ball out of bounds.
So Kerr another free. He continues to rack up the frees against the Swans. He might break his record from round 1 last year.
Stengline, if you can get it to him. Kick wasn't.
Stengline still a chance, although he left it in the end, and fly over the top was pretty good. Butler, a big round of applause.
Doesn't look confident distance-wise.
Well, he hasn't had a kick for 2 years. Short kick is not good. And Lewis Roberts-Thompson wasn't paid the mark.
Oh, Daniel Kerr looks a little bit ginger coming off. This is not a good sign for West Coast.
Is it a hamstring? We'll check with Lee Colbert shortly.
Yeah, boys, it's actually his ankle, lads. He's hurt his ankle in that last contest.
That's sort of good news. Cox is free.
Everything is going their way at the moment, but the big downside is Daniel Kerr, who's off the ground. He's having a walk along the boundary line, so that's a good sign that he's not getting immediate treatment. A little bit ginger with the ankle, but if Dean Cox can kick truly here, this is just an unbelievable start by West Coast.
And yet they did this a couple of weeks ago against Adelaide. Played good football here.
Well, they played man-on-man football. That was the thing, accountable football, and
did not relent.
themselves.
7 goals, 4 this year. Dean Cox.
Oh, Coxley.
Oh, no.
That is the sort of thing that hurts big time.
Especially when Sydney missed their opportunity out in front, when they should have converted. You can really hurt them there, and unlike Dean Cox,
Craig Bolton, one of the co-captains of this Sydney Swans side, hoping to try and generate something now with this deficit. Matner, Barry.
Chad Fletcher had to push hard, put pressure on Leo Barry there.
Malcheski. Little push in the bum. Not a free kick, according to the umpire. Obviously allowed to push in the backside. If it's not the back, it's okay. Warapunda. Now Braun has to go. Kennelly comes hard. Braun, strong hands. Plays on. Dumps it long. Hunter. Seavey in front. Hunter takes the mark.
Good courage from Michael Braun. He's a player that's been out of form this year. He stood under the high ball. He marked truly and then played on quickly. Every time they've played on quickly, that's when they've caught the Sydney defence on the hop.
At the early part of the year, a lot were out of form, but his last 3 weeks, excluding last week, Michael Braun has got back to his customary best, where he's hard in and under, and at that time, he was fantastic.
Lewis Roberts-Thompson couldn't mark. Leo Barry shrugs an attempted tackle. Malcheski just in time, but it's sloppy. Butler got a push.
Now again, this is a direct result of the pressure that West Coast are putting on Sydney, and it's been a long time As you called it early in the first quarter, Jacko, you've never seen Sydney fumble like this, run over the ball. It's perceived pressure now, if not actual.
On that occasion, Leo Barry ran back through the danger through the corridor there, and someone looked flat-footed, and I just thought he's a bit apprehensive. But the chain of handballs just were skill errors and just allowed West Coast. And as a forward, when you sense that, well, you're pretty hot on it to get yourself a chance to have a shot on goal.
He's got to kick the goal. We saw Hunter a moment ago. He's missed a lot of footy. Kicked a shocker off the boot. Butler's got to kick truly here. He's got to get some reward.
Crowd hushed.
Pushed it.
Well, he hasn't had a lot of footy,
Nope.
Sam Butler.
Yeah, you're right there.
He's broken down 4 times since that 2006 grand final, his last game. He's had groin problems, osteitis pubis.
Yeah, but Dwayne, they've had 3 shots relatively out in front from 30 to 35 metres.
And that's
got to
the
kick it.
The game could effectively be almost out of Sydney's reach, but it's not.
Yours.
More.
Right there, Quinton. Right there, right there.
Having said that, the signs are still good.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, no reason for panic for West Coast, but when they've had a chance to put the game away, they just haven't been able to through some elementary skill errors.
Right there, Adam. Thank you.
Leo Barry,
Mine.
another of the co-captains that'll have to generate something for this comeback. Malcheski.
Kick.
Ablett. He played on. He faked the handball but didn't step. And was still called. O'Loughlin.
You can trick the umpire doing that, Dwayne.
Obviously. Fooled him then. I always thought you had to take a step. Malcheski held up on the wing. 6-3, plays 5 behinds.
Thank you, guys.
O'Keefe.
Keep it out.
A long way up to get a possession. West Coast getting players back now.
Adam Goods is pushed forward. Selwood's guarding him closely.
Moore forced to punch. Glass. Prittis. Got a handball out. McVeigh. Peter Everett. Ablett gets the snap away. It's all about the bounce. It's across the face. Out of play, Lee Colbert.
This is where Daniel Kerr actually hurt his ankle. He was in a tackle, and as you can see there, he's on the bench. But the tackle come, and he just twists his ankle underneath. There it is, right there.
Yep.
Unfortunately for Curry.
Glass, unfortunately for him. Jude Bolton picks it up and breaks the Swans' drought.
Well, just an opportunist goal by Sydney getting the ball in the forward line. Fell their way, but that's what you're going to do as forwards. Get in the front position. Good tackle. Right there at the goal mouth. So I've got to take your chances, something they weren't doing in their first quarter. Now that may be the springboard for them to get back-to-back goals, because they need a couple to get back into this game.
Guys, let it go.
His direct opponent there was Sam Butler, who just copped a check in traffic, and that allowed Bolton to find some space, pick up the loose ball and kick truly.
Some bittersweet news for the West Coast. Swans get a goal, but Kerr back on. Kieran Jack back on him. Big ball up, nice palm from Everett. Kick out of the congestion by Kirk to half forward. Bouncing ball, Barlow had it slapped away. Jones tries to thread the eye of the needle with the handball. Jude Bolton to Moore from 50. It's coming back. It's touched on the line by Graham.
That is a great spoil. A terrific spoil there from Jamie Graham. Playfair looked to be in good position to either shepherd or mark, and he was strong enough to hold his position and then throw the right spoil across and hit the ball.
Just 5 games last year, Jamie Graham. This is his 5th of this year.
Holding the arm, Peter Everett.
So hopefully Jamie Graham will play some more footy
There's a
this
Sydney
year.
player
Everett
down.
is-
Sydney player down just off the ball,
Yours.
who hasn't got up.
I think it's Brett Kirk, who doesn't go down willy-nilly.
Play on.
Jones,
Hold too long.
free kick West Coast.
He's up, Kirk, but he's not well. He's in the hands of the trainers.
Play on.
He's pushing the trainers away. He doesn't want
He saw the ball coming.
his man to get a touch. He could smell it.
Get ready.
Embley and Kerr combine. Half-back flank.
You now. Yes. You now.
Chip
Yes,
kick,
yes, yes.
smothered. Mops up his own mess. Kerr again. Ankle looks okay. Quentin Lynch.
Yours, Hayden.
Thumps it long. Hunter flies. Almost. Houlihan dives in. Hunter, he picks up. Sends it to the goal square. Warapunda's down there. Selwood's down there. Bounced off Selwood's head. Craig Bolton, and now Lewis Roberts-Thompson.
Hold! Adam, well done, play on! Mine, yours. Yes. Yep.
Kennelly misses the target. This is a different Sydney Swans lineup at the moment. Kirk's okay. Got a handball up to O'Keefe. Open forward line. Ted Richards peeling back. Goal square. Bouncing ball. Glass. Solid.
He's reliable.
Just had to look at a little bit better there, O'Keefe, because Peter Everett was making good space against a tired Quentin Lynch.
Oh, that's it was actually Kirk running into Daniel Kerr when he went down.
Have another look at that shortly. Lynch wide. Embley.
Play on! Me, yep.
Jones.
Start. Play on! You, yes.
Fletcher. Got away from Bevan.
Right there, right on it, thanks.
And he's working hard, Chad Fletcher, another player that's been certainly down on form. He's up to possession number 10, working really hard for them.
And as you said, Jason, worked his way back to form last week with a 33 possession game after an average start to the year.
Off, don't go over it.
So this might be 2 good games back to back.
Play on.
Chad Fletcher.
Needs to be a good kick.
Short pass, good. Bo Wilkes. Matt Prittis, just the required 15. Wants to go straight down the middle. Goal square's there. Here goes long. Kerr can't get a fly at it. And Kirk, solid, takes the mark.
He was desperate for someone to lead at him, Matty Prittis, and no one came at him. He had to kick long to Wirrapunda, and that's not the option they're looking for.
Lewis Roberts-Thompson. Speaking of players that didn't play much last year, like Jamie Graham, Lewis Roberts-Thompson just the 2 games last year. Now back and having a better year. To Jude Bolton. And now towards Jolly, inside 50. Jones, Jolly, Glass and Richards. A 2-on-2. Jones extracts it. Seavey on the open side.
They've got numbers here.
Braun can run. If it bounces kindly, here's away big time. Had to wait a little. So held up.
He's got to keep going forward.
Yep.
Wirrapunda leads in the race and tried to mark on his chest, and that allowed Craig Bolton
That's
to
all right.
spoil.
That's all right, because at least the ball's in their forward 50 or 55, and they can reassess, start again, regroup, get their positioning right here. But at times there, when they do go backward for that handball game, you invite Sydney to get their numbers back.
Ablett to O'Keefe to O'Loughlin. If he can get there, he does on the line. But he's a long way from where he'd like to be, Mickey O.
Well, the one thing from a Sydney perspective now is they're starting to win their share of possession. They haven't transformed that into goals as yet, but they are getting their hands on the ball a little bit more regularly.
And the question is, Jason, those 3 goals, relatively easy goals that West Coast missed at the start of this quarter, will that come back to haunt the Eagles?
Having said that, Sydney missed a couple of easy ones. We saw Playfair hit the post from directly in front, and someone missed one a little bit earlier.
You do have a chance to go 9 goals to 0 and really take it beyond the opposition.
They put some effort into the bouncing, the umpires, don't they?
Cox, he ripped it out of the air and got a kick away. Well,
Coxie thinks it's his, and
he drop kicked this.
he never actually took possession. He never took possession. That's an ordinary decision.
And the other thing is, his back was to the umpire, so the umpire didn't have a clear vision of it. So
he almost palmed it down to his own feet.
And not only did he not take possession, he wasn't tackled either.
Graham flies, Nikoski. So the footy gods are here. They didn't think Sydney deserved a score from that. They won't get one. Quentin Lynch, half-back flank.
this is where they're
middle of the
breaking
ground. He's got Braun in the middle of the ground if he can see him.
Got to go, Staker.
Staker is the man, and he takes the mark regardless. Plays on.
Oh, look at this.
Seavey's on the way back in the goal square. He can play on and goal. First goal of the term for the West Coast. Took them 17 minutes.
Well, well done, Quentin Lynch, by looking upfield, but Brent Staker had to make a presence at that contest. Very good defender, and Leo Barry on him, but got body on him. Got the free kick in the end, but a good mark. Had to play on. That's what they did in the first quarter. The element of surprise. Got Sydney on the back foot and good pace of getting the ball in there. And when you got the #1 defensive side against you, you've got to throw caution to win. You've got to go at them, and that's what they've done in the first quarter. But at that occasion, good play.
First goal of the night for Mark Seavey. 45 plays 13. About to tick into time on. Second term. Kirk. Jude Bolton. A wobbler. Good fist from Embley. Barlow. Glass dives over it, in a bit of trouble. Jones tried to steal it. Jack does. Kicks to full forward. Everett's down there. Graham, Everett, Kerr, McVeigh. He'll run in and kick an easy goal.
Peter Everett did very well there. He just held his opponent off the ball. He got the little flip with the hand out into space. He knew where his teammates were. He's holding Graham away from the ball with the right arm and just tips it out with the left. Perfect for McVeigh, who picks it up cleanly and runs into an open goal. Gee, they desperately needed it.
Well, they're still winning the quarter, Sydney, and
2 goals to 1.
That's good work. Just lost sight of Daniel Kerr, got sucked to the contest, and young McVeigh got on the right side of that. Good goal.
Another goal to silence for Sydney. First for McVeigh, Peter Everett. With the pat on the back, the stamps are getting bigger each week. From the ball up, Cox whips it out of the air to Lynch. Now, within range.
This is the one he's got to go back and kick.
He's asked the umpire for the mark already, so he needs to know his range.
This is the one he's got to go back.
Gloves off.
And square up the quarter at 2 goals apiece. He's got to undo the work that Sydney have done in the last 5 minutes. Now, we saw him from, in the first quarter, a similar distance, but on a wide angle, go right to the goal line. He needs to kick truly.
Silence for the goal at the other end. Be a massive roar if this sails through. Hasn't got the range or the accuracy.
Been close both times, but sometimes it's just a case of centimetres between what can be match winning and match losing.
Peter Simic, who, as I said during the week, said this man looked a little proppy, Nick Malcheski, and thought he wouldn't play, but
he's had 12 touches, Dwayne.
Yeah.
The equal most on the ground with Daniel Kerr. Not bad for a proppy bloke.
Not bad for a bloke who's got his knee held together by a piece of string. Nick Malcheski with that revolutionary operation.
And Brett Jones has done a pretty good job on Ryan O'Keefe. Just the 6 possessions to O'Keefe, 1 behind, so that is a big win for West Coast.
Goods a little toe to his own advantage. Hasn't had a big term. Adam Goods gets the booze and gets a handball up. Stenglein dives in. Jude Bolton extracts it. Fletcher running back. Embley's with him. Bounced unkindly for both of them. Little tap. Buchanan missed the target. O'Keefe. Prentice has got him. Shuffled it out. Ablett. Stolen back. Well played by Davis. Embley. Selwood. Davis again, dragged down, got it up, but straight to O'Keefe.
Oh, I didn't
he tore it from him. He ripped it from his grasp. Well played, Ryan Davis. We'll get a ball up.
That's the 1% of John Worsfold, certainly a highlight, even at half-time, because even though you're down, you're not out. And he was able to just pickpocket him with a nice hand, robbed him of possession as he gets tackled here. Stays involved. Look, there we go. That's the one. It was a good play.
And he's a Sydney boy as well, from North Shore, playing for the West Coast. They stole him from under Sydney's nose. Ryan Davis. Prentice bounces it inside 50. Staker, Stenglein, Ablett. Staker, can he get a shot away? Centering kick, top of the square. Seaby can't mark it. Off hands. Mattner, clever.
Well, good things that West Coast are doing. All their big players, Jason, their key forwards, are playing in front.
Yep.
When you're playing in front, causing a lot of problems for your direct opponent.
A little bit of confusion between umpire and goal umpire, and that stopped the Swans from playing on quickly from the behind. Mattner gets it back. Ablett of the Luke variety. Mattner again. McVeigh's the long option. It's in his direction. Well measured pass.
I've got it. Yours.
Lewis Roberts Thompson. 3 minutes to half time. Congestion in the middle. West Coast are saying you've got to go wide if you want to get it downfield. They do go wide. Malcheski finds McVeigh. Really working hard, the West Coast, to stop any easy possessions. Matner, Paul Roos. Coaching from the dugout tonight.
Move it on, please. Play on. Line.
Gets the quarter play on. Malcheski.
Right there, Chris.
Will they mop up the last 2.5 minutes of this second term with possession football? And then reset at half-time.
Prince in there, play on.
Ty Kennelly. Malcheski. Little fumble. That's what pressure does. And now Long.
Nice kick.
Henry Playfair.
If they can work this down and get a goal, Sydney, they'll go into half-time very confident. This has been good control of the football. Now can they produce something?
O'Keefe flies but can't mark. G had it. Graham had it. Gave it to Houlihan. Seaby. And they're away here, the West Coast. Stengline, open forward line, and a paddock ahead. One bounce. Short option. Butler.
Switch it here.
And he does to the open side. Marston.
He's got to draw him.
Well, Davis is peeling back to the square. It's in his direction. He'll have to fly, although Seaby gets back. Davis stays down, then lays to Shepherd. That allows Staker to have a terrible kick at goal.
He's got to do that better, Brent Staker. He's got to have the awareness more quickly in his mindset. I know he's trying to do the team thing, but had a couple of West Coast players around him, and with his ability and mobility to turn, he's got to have more impact on the goals and have more shots on goals. That's an area of his game that is a little bit lacking, because he could certainly finish off his good work. He's moving well in the forward line. He's leading. He's presenting.
Touch play on. Stengline caught by Kirk. Did he dispose of it legally? Marston to Prittis. Kick half smothered. A minute from time. Seaby left it behind. And now O'Keefe thumps it out for Jones. He can thump it back or find a short pass target. He thumps it. Hunter! Big time break. There goes gravity.
And he seems to always do it against Sydney to produce his best. It's not the first time he's done that.
He had to take a couple of little steps before he took off, because he was about to go too early. He had to wait a couple of little steps, and then he hung there. That is a beauty, but his last kick for goal was dreadful.
Craig Bolden give him a nice ladder.
He just
back
needs
straight into that.
A few deep breaths, get a good kick off the boot. This is all about momentum heading into the break.
He's edged it through. And the crowd roar.
Well done, Adam Hunter, because he certainly has had a massive work rate. He's certainly underdone, there's no doubting that. In the first quarter, I reckon he had 12 contests on a ball and didn't have a possession, but he created and done all the team things, created the vacuum, and he's just got to continue to do that in this game. Use this game as a stepping stone. Get a bit of momentum, bit of fitness, but that's just special. That's class. He's done that in the past, and that'll do his confidence a world of good. Got his side back on level terms with Sydney in this quarter.
Well, you thought Brent Staker got dealt unfairly by Barry Hall in that round 4 game. It was Adam Hunter who the fans had a crack at for not flying the flag well enough after that incident. But they were right back with him there for that grab.
Good hang time.
54 plays 19. 13th on the ladder. Have 5th. Right where they want them. Approaching half-time. Just some seconds to mop up here. Butler. Bouncing ball. Rapunda. Gee, maybe time enough. Cox has a bounce. Runs to 50. They need a mark. Did it touch? It did. On the siren. Classic first half between these two modern-day rivals, and it's gone totally against the script. The West Coast Eagles at Subiaco trying to let the world know this is their home, and round 4, when they were crushed by 62 points, was an anomaly. 8-7 plays 2-7 at half-time.
The big question mark is whether they can gain any sort of ascendancy in the middle of the ground, and I guess a lot of that responsibility will fall on the shoulders of Adam Goodes. He's the one he's got the sting of the report earlier in the game riding in the back of his mind. He's been closely shadowed by Adam Selwood, but if he doesn't get going, It's hard to see them getting enough ball out of the middle of the ground to actually kick a score to get over the top of the Eagles.
And one of the inspirational players, Brett Kirk. He's only had the 6 possessions. He's not a big possession winner, but he's a bloke that gets in and under and wins hard football and leads by example. And they'll need him to do that in the second half.
Bounce to start the second half. Everett in the ruck against Seaby. Fletcher the takeaway. Bouncing ball. Lynch decided not to take possession. Got an arm slapped, and Matner collects it after a little bounce and sends it long. Henry Playfair with the double grab.
Very good mark. We got caught here, West Coast. McVeigh's taken off. Switched it here, Sydney.
Moore long. It's all about the bounce for Jolly. Front spot. He's in position A. Grabs it. O'Keefe. 60 from goal. Centering kick. Kerr will have to go. Does go. And goes big time.
He was clever, and he turned his body to enable him to take the ball without wearing the full brunt of the contest as well, but kept his eyes on the footy, and that was the key.
Embley short. Braun.
Needs to
Kick
go.
not so good, and Seaby goes. So if anything is going to make a statement for the West Coast, it's those 2 marks to start this half. Jones wide, Wirapunda, and slap high to Craig Bolton. He'll take the free.
They endeavoured to play on quickly, but unfortunately Brett Jones didn't have time to have a look up and see that Wirapunda had led deep, needed the long kick over the top. But that's when they've been catching Sydney on the hop. Here's Daniel Kerr. Look at that. That is fantastic. Eyes on the footy all the way.
Kirk coming the other way as well. So he had a committed player coming at him. O'Loughlin. Bevan. Just the third possession coming up for Paul Bevan. Start on the bench. Leo Barry.
I've got it.
The stagnant Swans.
Yours.
Jared McVeigh. Mentioned the Swans won by 62 points earlier this year. These 2 teams met twice last year, and the West Coast won both games. They were both thrillers. Selwood. Marston. Tucked up against the boundary line, kicks toward Embley. Slaps it down. McVeigh, Embley, boundary line. And it is kept alive along the line. McVeigh shrugs the tackle. Bevan takes on Stengline. Almost threw that away. Kennelly got it from McVeigh. Backtracking. Kerr hunting him down. And the pressure on the kick turns it over.
And I dare say, if it was anyone other than Daniel Kerr chasing Ty Kennelly, he would have had a lot more time to make clean disposal of the footy.
Embley to Lynch. Crowd want him to go at it, but he's probably just beyond his range this time.
Trouble is he's not looking forward. Adam Hunter's given him a couple of good leads up the corridor.
No one in the goal square. That's a big long kick. Everett gets back, fist, and it bounces through.
It's a good long kick, but it's got to either happen straight away before the ruckman gets back there, or then he's got to find a short option.
It was a 2-on-1, so you're better off going to the top of the square. Given the way the West Coast have been competing in the forward line, their pressure's been fantastic, and they've got to continue to do that. Don't allow Sydney to settle and set up getting numbers back.
Adam Goods is down
again behind play.
Selwood had a word or two with him while he was down there. Little toe poke off the deck is good from Jack. To his own advantage, Braun chased him. Hand up, perfect to Jude Bolton. Lead comes from Jolly. He's got Glass to beat. Of all the players to beat, he's just about got the best defender out there. And he takes on Jude Bolton. Handballs to his own advantage. Keeps it in. Braun over it.
He's in trouble, holding the ball.
He's gone. Crowd not happy. Jude Bolton's free. Played on. Got the 1-2. And now Embley should swallow this. Does. Andrew Embley coming off a 31 possession, 16 mark game last week. Having another good day at the office. That was possession number 12. Hand up from Butler, good. Fletcher. Selwood. Open forward line. That kicks a shocker. Marston left it for Braun. Caught by 2. Over it. Shuffles it out this time. Gee, he was met too heavily by Henry Playfair. Might have been met high. Picked up by Malcheski. He sends it long and goals against the flow.
Daniel Kerr in trouble.
Well, he was met high.
Well, they got a nice hit on there, but to Sydney's credit, they kept the ball alive, and it's now them with the pressure on West Coast. We saw Darren Glass run the ball out and fumbled the ball. Michael Braun got penalised. They got another inside 50 here. It's Daniel Kerr.
And the one thing you'll see here, Jacko, look at the missed tackle.
Yeah,
Marston, he had Malcheski cold. He went with the one hand. We saw a missed tackle earlier on that also let Sydney get away. They've got to maintain the standards that they set in the first half.
Game number 49 for Nick Malcheski. And this is fourth game back after that knee reconstruction, Nick Malcheski. Have a look at that head high on Daniel Kerr again shortly. 8-8, plays 3-7. Cox back in the ruck, but down to Goods. Shrugs Kerr. Handball not so good to Bevan. He'll have to get it back again. Try and make something of it. Threw that away. Good tackle, Prentice.
But I like his intent there, Adam Goods. It was a good clearance that he won. It just was unlucky with the handball that he got out. But his follow-up, you can see he's showing the leadership in trying to propel Sydney back into this game.
Prentice. Low kick to Lynch.
Big lead.
Time.
Now he's got to move it quickly.
That's better. That's a
great
perfect kick to Hunter. He would have found it even difficult to get away from that, let alone mark it.
That's exactly what we were saying that he needed to do last time. And maybe he got the message. He thought, oh boy, I've bombed it long to a 1-on-2. I've got to move it quicker. He turned around, and that's as good a pass as any midfielder is going to deliver to a leading forward.
To his defence on that time, there was a bit more open forward line, but he moved it very fast and not allowing Sydney to get numbers back.
For the instant reply. He misses.
That's a couple of easy ones Adam Hunter's missed. The one that he did kick late in the second half, he only snuck that one through. But he needs to be a little bit better than that. Daniel Kerr putting his head over the footy, getting crunched.
Okay.
From all angles.
Double sandwich there.
Malcheski. From defence.
Nice kick.
Henry Playfair. Dishes up quickly to
message.
Lachlan is on his own.
Well,
and can simply go back and kick the goal.
When there's a stoppage or a kick out at the other end, all the West Coast players come up. They have an 18-man zone. And the problem is if you get a good long kick into the middle of the ground and then the ball plays on quickly, this is what happens with forwards sitting back in space. Can O'Loughlin do what Hunter didn't do a moment ago, kick truly and close up the gap?
If he does, it is game on.
Didn't you say at halftime they were home?
Massive kick this for Michael O'Loughlin. He's sprayed it. And he is having an accurate year. 27 goals, 9 coming into this game. Glass, short,
barely
Nikoski.
He can run with it.
Nikoski sends it long towards the wing. Lynch playing a role now, competing when he can't mark. Buchanan. Kennelly. Craig Bolton. Kerr nearly had him. Short, Buchanan. Handball misses Bevan. Forced to go and get it. Richards.
We've got the numbers.
O'Keefe. Long. Players getting back for the West Coast. Nikoski. O'Loughlin. Good bump. O'Loughlin can run in. Shrugs one and kicks the goal.
Well, that's why you're Mickey O'Loughlin. You have the presence of mind to be able to use your body at the right time, which you did here. It's a 50-50 ball, but that's years of experience.
Yep.
Bit of a push on the side there, but it's illegal. It's what you got to get better as a defender. You either get goal side or you're prepared to wear that, or you got to dive on the ball very quickly. And unfortunately, Martin Nikoski just got outsmarted there, and that's the goal that he should have kicked before, but gets another bite of the cherry. Now we've got one of those traditional games again.
It's game on now, and the crowd can sense it. We might have to roll the tape from the halftime break, Dwayne. I'm pretty sure, if memory serves, that Glenn Jakovich said the Eagles are home.
No, I said they're playing at home.
Cox
You're the worst.
got the handoff. Jolly. It wasn't bad off the cuff. Selwood. Good turn out of trouble. And now the kick from Davis. Offhand. Richards to his own advantage.
All of a sudden, the ball's rebounding very quickly out of defence. They're not getting the same pressure in their forward 50, the Eagles. And Sydney's defence is starting to get on top. This is where they springboard their attacks from.
It's almost as if the lucky bounces are going Sydney's way at the moment as well. Jolly all the way back to Richards.
But I've got a theory for that, Dwayne. I think it's intent and work rate. And when you've got that better than the opposition, you start to win more of your 50-50s. West Coast demonstrated in the first quarter and parts of the second. And Sydney are dominating this first 10 here.
Bevan's kick to the midfield. Free kick. Staker didn't even know it was his.
No, nor did Bolton.
Staker thumps it back in the Hunter direction. Good attempt. Knocked it down.
No smalls at ground level. That's the problem.
Bevan. Kennelly.
Yes.
He can generate from defence. Needing to do it again tonight. Barlow. Henry Playfair. Jamie Graham. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other there. Knocked out towards O'Loughlin. Got a little push. He milked it for all it was worth. Michael O'Loughlin. Took the dive. Matner. Runs into trouble. Daniel Kerr. Gone.
Gee, you stiff. He was lurking behind Kerr. Matner didn't know. He was going to swing on to the left foot and move the ball quickly, and he got pinged.
14th possession. Daniel Kerr finds Quentin Lynch.
Now he's moving it quickly again.
Big thump. Wirapunda might have to leap here. Stays down. Back of the pack. He was caught in no man's land. Butler. Boundary line, and Wira almost gives the free away. Butler. Little fumble. Backtracks. Finds the line.
Well, it's a bit of a win for West Coast because they've stopped Sydney's rebound, and now they've got to make good use of this ball, as we see. Daniel Kerr, great tackle from the side there.
Didn't see it until late, Matner.
From the ball in, Fletcher through traffic. Daniel Kerr, if it bounces, and it doesn't, it's stopped. Wirapunda dives in, and Kennelly completes the behind.
See, they've had a couple of half chances, haven't they? This game, as the intensity's gone up another notch because Sydney have lifted.
History of tight, hard contests, these two teams. Twice last year they played, West Coast by 1 and by 12.
The switch here.
Yours.
It's the next one. Can West Coast man up sufficiently?
Right there, Kieran. Hand forward.
Roberts Thompson. Adam Goods. Good hands.
Too strong in the air. It's a bit of a mismatch for West Coast there because he's dominating not only in the ground but as marks like that, as we saw.
O'Keefe. Mark paid and takes off.
Yes.
O'Loughlin one-on-one with Graham. Davis jumps in but doesn't mark. Gathers the crumb. Caught. Got the handball off just in time. Backed himself and won. Braun. Prentice caught by Jack. Braun. Nikoski. Ablett. Lynch. Got him. Handball off though to Barry. Lynch. Drags him down. Gone.
Quinton Lynch, his work rate has been fantastic. An area of his game he's certainly developed his second and third efforts. He's not just a lead the mark player. That'll keep him in the side and make him a better player. Fantastic.
Staker on a good lead.
Glass wide. Fletcher. Staker, as you said, Jason, was free. That's a good kick to Hunter. He was in position A.
Good vision by Brent Staker. It's going to go to David Wirapunda, but went through the to the top of the corridor. Now he has to kick it.
He's had troubles in front of goal. He's missed a lot of footy. That brought him straight back from injury after a long time out. One thing you do lose when you spend time out of the game is your touch. He's had a bit of a horror run. He managed to sneak one inside the right-hand goal post, but he's missed 2 from very similar spots.
They haven't kicked a goal this term, the West Coast. We've played 14 minutes and they still haven't.
You've talked into him, Jason.
That's nearly the worst kick I've ever seen. He's missed everything from 30 out directly in front. What's more is the ball spun correctly. That might be the worst kick I've ever seen.
The Swans have kicked 2 goals this term. The margin was 36 points at half-time. Malcheski. You would have seen some bad ones in your time as well. Leo Barry.
Quinton there.
Hugs the boundary and hugged it a little too closely. Out of play on the full. Brent Staker. Game number 99 for him. Plays 100th next week. Against the Bombers, Brent Staker. All the way back. Seaby has Braun.
Got to think their way through this now. Sydney's got all the numbers behind the football, and they've just got to not give cheap possession away here.
Houlihan thumps it long. Good.
This man.
He was the third man in that 2-on-2.
If they're going to kick it long, they've got to kick it to someone that can give them a contest.
Open forward line. Malcheski, he didn't have much to go to. Thumps it long, and the same applies. Embley, now Glass.
Oh, just off the bench, McVeigh.
Braun was aware of it. Seaby. So now the same thing applies again. Don't thump it long. The Swans have players back. Lynch got his arm slapped.
He's done some good things, Quentin Lynch. He really has.
Just work rate.
And he's been strong when he's needed to be strong.
It's a good lead.
That's a great kick too.
Selwood.
He just led a little bit too early, Rapunda.
Yeah, he did.
But he did open up space. Staker's back in the goal square. Hunter's getting back.
Very small forward.
Everett.
Oh.
Marston made the contest and ties it up.
Geez, what about Spider Everett trying to put the brakes on and turn around there? He was slower than the Queen Mary.
He's 34 years of age, Jason.
I think he's gasping a bit too.
And they do say that Ruckman are the dinosaurs of the current game.
There are 32 players in the defensive 50 as we speak, or the attacking 50, whichever way you look at it. Oh, another player goes down behind play.
McVeigh.
It was Brett Kirk again.
Richards. Leo Barry. Oh, he ducked out of that. Kennelly. Good mark on Braun. And now players get back. Buchanan can run in here. No one ahead of him. Needs to just dribble it, roll it, kick it long. He does exactly what he didn't want to do. Kick it behind and give the ball back to the West Coast. It would have been better to stop and wait.
If West Coast drop off that tackling intensity, we saw Leo Barry duck under one. He should have been taken cold. They were so good in the first half. They've got to maintain it.
Good tackle on Marston. Poor tackle by Davis on Malcheski.
One thing you know about Sydney is they'll keep fighting, they'll lift, they'll find a way to get back into this game. There we go.
Ablett.
Important time of the game, and Daniel Kerr back on the ground.
Hasn't had a lot of it, Luke Ablett, just the 6 possessions, but this could be a very important one. They're just chipping away at the margin.
Big kick this.
Don't go over it.
8-10 minutes played, third term. West Coast haven't kicked a goal this quarter. Ablett has a chance to kick Sydney's third for the term.
Well, Adam Hunter's off the hook. Adam Hunter is officially off the hook. That's the worst kick I've ever seen.
That's the worst kick I've ever seen from an Ablett.
Absolutely. It's gone 45 degrees less. Stop laughing, Jacko.
Oh, you've given some bakes.
Thanks, Eamon. Eamon.
Jones.
Yours. Yep.
Spears that to Fletcher, who can't mark, but that's a win.
You spoke earlier about Nick Malcheski. The Eagles thought he was a bit proper. He's had 22 touches. How good is that, if you don't mind? Leading possession getter on the ground and has a goal.
Tackling's been good tonight. It's been legal. It's been tough. We'll get another ball up. That was Davis.
Just have a look at Luke Ablett here. That's just a helicopter that's gone sideways off the instep. A lot of players just don't spend enough time in front
Umpire's
of
gone
goals.
down. He's still
hurt.
down. He's in the middle of it.
He's hurt.
Umpire head. Goods in the meantime. Slips the handball to Buchanan. Back to Goods. Centering kick. Perfect to Kirk.
He's done a lot of good work through the middle of the ground, Adam Goods. And on that occasion, he could have blazed away and kicked the goal, but he looked inside, and you know that the Sydney players are going to run, create and give options, because their work rate from the defensive 50 running through the lines is fantastic, and it's a big kick.
Crowd know it. Straight over the goal umpire's hat. They keep coming, the Swans.
Well, the door is open. West Coast has certainly had their opportunities. They've kicked 3 points in this quarter. They've been goalless, but to Sydney's credit, their pressure and work rate, very much like West Coast were in the first half, but they've adopted after half-time, probably got a big spray by Paul Roos. They've certainly lifted their work rate, led by their leaders. Kirk on that time, Adam Goods, as we mentioned. McVeigh's been amongst it, so Mickey O'Loughlin's coming back on the ground at an important time of the game to see if they can get another goal before three-quarter time.
Kirk kicks the goal and umpire Matthew Head, he's up. Here's where he went down with Fletcher. Not too sure that Chad Fletcher's got anything to worry about there. Mind you, who'd know in those instances. Good bounce.
Play on!
Seaby with the palm. Jude Bolton the crumb. Caught by Jones.
No opportunity.
No Pryor.
It's a good tackle.
By Hayden Kennedy to ball this up.
Jude.
We're into time on third term. 58-39. And Jones is hurt.
Blocker, your mark. Who's going up the ball third? So this day,
Hayden Kennedy's found a free kick to Nikoski.
I don't think he quite got out of his mouth what he wanted to say to the umpire. I think Nikoski was going to be third man up and he was blocked and wasn't allowed to run and jump.
Move it on, please.
Thumps a long bomb. Everett in the hole. Lynch came hard. Thumped it down. They're the 1%ers you talked about, gentlemen.
Yeah, and the most important thing was getting there, making a contest.
Fletcher, kick. Thump to the pocket. Goods takes them on. O'Keefe, caught high. Play on advantage. Ted Richards doesn't want to play on. It's no advantage. Now he does. Has a bounce, which he didn't really need to do. Malcheski bumped on the kick. Davis.
Oh, he's got Lynch on if he moves it quickly.
And Wirapunda in the pocket as well. And he goes to Fletcher. Nikoski.
Still
long bomb. Wirapunda, Selwood, Gords! From 3 deep again.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's the decision-making of West Coast that's playing into the hands of Sydney. And Sydney is starting to get their tails up.
Hardly saw it in the second term, Adam Goods. Seeing a lot in this third. O'Loughlin with Graham. Front spot, Graham. He was held.
What's amazing, in this quarter, you would say, Jason, the ball has spent more time in West Coast forward 50 than it has in Sydney's.
Yeah.
And Sydney's the one that's kicked 3 goals.
Well, 3 goals in itself isn't that dangerous, but the fact is West Coast haven't been able to score at all.
Braun kicked it to Davis, who spoiled. Malcheski finds the boundary line. No, it bounced on its end and more content to take it out.
In fact, it's 10 inside 50s apiece in this third term, but West Coast need to get something for their efforts going forward, because if they allow Sydney just to keep chipping away at the total, all of a sudden they'll find that there's only a kick or 2 in it at three-quarter time.
Cox and Everett tie up. Everett bent down, slick there to Adam Goods. Takes them on, has a bounce, run down. He's slick to Holohan.
Generous handball.
One of the fastest players in the comp, and the young player not rewarded there. Crowd not happy. O'Keefe towards O'Loughlin. Good spoil. Graham, it was Glass in fact that got there just in time, and Holohan, the athlete as a kid, got back, led a hand, gave to Staker, hand to Braun, wide to Wirapunda. Open forward line now. Lynch is on the move in his direction. Got it.
Go back and kick the goal.
It was much better entry this time, West Coast. Chipped the ball around, waited for the right option, and did it with pace. Didn't allow Sydney to get their numbers back.
Did he get a handball? I guess he did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I guess he did. But again, terrific pressure.
Has to kick this. He's kicked them from here before the big kick. But if they ever needed a goal, just to steady up.
Yep. And
just for their mindset that they've kicked the goal in this quarter.
Hasn't kicked a goal yet tonight. That's coming back, but not enough.
All clear.
They are goalless in this third term, the West Coast. They led by 36 at half-time.
Has been one of the criticisms on Quentin Lynch, Jacko, and that's the ability to kick the goal under pressure when West Coast desperately need it. It was a tough shot, but the really good players find a way to kick those.
Stay out.
Paul Bevan. Ty Kennelly. Dangerous. Leo Barry. Houlihan tried hard to spoil, but overcommitted. Barry plays on, wide. Jack, almost the mark.
Nearly was.
Certainly wasn't paid. Wilkes, ridden a little by O'Keefe. Now he's over it.
Did not dive on it.
Did not dive on it. So was he pushed there?
I reckon he nearly marked that, Kieran Jack. It fell in his hands as it came down. Just have a look here. He goes up for the ball. There's the first touch. It's just his. He doesn't even know. He hits his thigh and he marks it.
Yep, you're right, Jason.
How good would that have been?
Unlucky there, Marston. Got it from Davis. Kirk pushes it forward, but Fletcher gets back. Danger here. Kirk about to get run down by Davis. Off hands. Craig Bolton. Glass has gone down. He's hurt. McVeigh shoots the handball. Kirk. They're back in it. In the shadows of three-quarter time.
He must have popped one in the face, Darren Glass, to stay down like that, because there was a ball up for grabs. He looks all over this shop. Brett Kirk just quick to get boot the ball. You just see here he came sliding in.
Yeah, he got one on the head
high.
there. Probably the knee, I think.
Oh, claims have touched off the boot. Vigorous claims have touched off the boot. Didn't look to be a lot in it, but often you can't tell.
Two goals for the term for the spiritual leader, Brett Kirk. Trying to drive the Bloods, the old blood-stained Angels. 59-45. Cox in the ruck. And he gets the clearance to half forward. Ball shuffled out, Braun. Stenglein, seconds ticking away. Braun again.
Good hands.
Can Prentice find a target? Shoots it to Kerr. He needs to find someone. Wins the free. The clock should stop. No, he doesn't call time off. Three-quarter time at Subiaco. And we have a cliffhanger. 5th on the ladder against 13th. They've got some big-time history, these two. And the West Coast Eagles lead at the last change. 8-11-59 to 6-9-45.
Fantastic. But look, and we've made mention of that throughout the course of the game, Jacko. They were getting belted in the midfield. They're just starting to get their hands on the footy a bit more. If they can continue to improve the amount of midfield possession and then hit up better targets as they go forward, they're every chance of getting over the West Coast.
The one thing I've always appreciated about Sydney is their ability to, control their own destiny. And Paul Roos, as relaxed he is at their three-quarter time, Brett Kirk and Adam Goods had a big third quarter and got their side back into this game. And they just work well for each other.
14 points the margin. Cox and Jolly. Free kick. And the West Coast get the takeaway. Cox to Kerr. The old firm. Stenglein, Kennelly. Both got a touch on it. Kennelly, Matner, Craig Bolton. And now Ty Kennelly. Chips it wide. Couple of options. Lewis Roberts Thompson runs onto it. And now Jolly. No one to hold him up. Thumps it long. Henry Playfair, big fist from Graham. Knocked it down, McVeigh. Jared Moore tucked into the pocket. Well played by Nikoski. Didn't push him in the back. Now it's a behind to start the final quarter. Hunter. Having a good night so far to Wirrapunda. And now Staker. Good hands are strong.
And needs a big quarter, needs a big last quarter. Didn't have much of an impact in the third.
That one a little wobbly. Selwood might make it okay. Knocked it down. Great tackle by Fletcher on Bolton. He got it up somehow. It's raked out. Kirk. Handball smothered by Wirrapunda. Turnover. Kerr slips a short pass. Hunter gives it off to Wirrapunda. Tucked into the pocket. It's the race pocket. They kicked a million from there.
Tell you what I liked about that, Jagger.
Adam Hunter.
Two players. Who's the best shot for goal? In particular, in form, and the player that's played a lot more footy is Dave Wirrapunda. He could have gone himself, Adam Hunter. But he said, why not give it to Wirrapunda? Let him settle. He's a good kick of the footy, and that's what they needed.
Good early response. That's their first goal in this second half. Surprising, but like you said, well done, Adam Hunter. He's certainly worked all night. He's got better as the game's gone, and good start for West Coast. The other player that really worked hard in leading that was Daniel Kerr. He had about 4 attacks on the football, a couple of possessions, and we talk about Kirk and Goods in the third quarter. Daniel Kerr started this last quarter in that same fashion.
Jolly and Cox again. Selwood with the clearance. Gets one back on Goods.
Great
Butler. Hand off toward Jones, but O'Keefe steals it back. Barlow leads in the chase for the Swans. And getting back, doing a good job again, Wilkes. Graham. No one to go to backwards. Has to come along the boundary line to Jones. That was the right option. Jones has now got the boundary if he wants it, and he gets it. Had no clear player to give it to. Out of play just as good as anything as Houlihan.
Well, in that case, Dwayne, you'd still like to see him go down the line, even though there might be some numbers back there. You force your teammates or the players up the ground to make a contest.
Cox, the perfect palm, but he missed Kerr. Fletcher, Houlihan. Dangerous. Central ball, slick hand. Tackle, shrugged by Moore. Pokes it towards O'Loughlin. Selwood got back, off hands. Houlihan, tackled by O'Loughlin. Ball still alive. Mickey O plays for the free. Jack, Michael O'Loughlin, kick smothered, tied in the pocket. And Prentice keeps it in.
What about the contest there from both teams? There's just half a dozen players going smack bang at the pill, trying to create something out of a contested ball.
Another centimetre, Mickey O'Loughlin. His name was written all over, doing something magical there.
The two teams that played back-to-back grand final classics are playing another one tonight. Embley, stolen by Goods. Hands to Kirk. 2 goals in the third. Can't kick one here. There's a free.
Wait, no score.
No score.
Push.
It's against Michael O'Loughlin. And every score counts now.
By Wilkes, if you can get it to him.
Glass to Kerr.
McCloskey running hard.
Move it on, please. Play on.
Kerr told to get it on. Could rush it behind if he needs to. You mentioned Wilkes. Well, he was there, but getting there first. Fletcher.
Look at Cox covering ground.
They got a mismatch there too.
Matner tries to shut him down, but the hands are strong. But he made the contest that holds him up. Well played by Matner. Didn't give away 50. Stops the play on. Cox down the line. Quinn Lynch. Over the head of the 221s. Wirapunda. Gets the hand up. And Butler keeps it in. Quentin Lynch. Is he within range? He's 60 out. Loads up. Hunter! Almost. Got a hand on it. Almost a free. Roberts Thompson holds it in.
It's good play.
Ball it up.
A good play, but Sam Butler, he's done some pivotal work for West Coast in keeping the ball alive, but he uses his hands real well in confined spaces. That ball should have gone over the line, but he was able to keep it alive, and that's why it's deep in West Coast's forward line.
Jolly too far out to knock it through to Roberts Thompson. And now Prentice, front spot.
Good tackle.
Was a great tackle. Kirk knew, he waited, and then swallowed him.
And he came from behind, but as soon as he tackled him, he turned him.
Yep.
And no chance of giving away the free kick for in the back.
Few players out there spent already, and there's a lot of time left. Free kick, Jolly's free.
Had his arms around him.
65 to 46. Kennelly to Playfair. Just inside the line. Held up by Graham.
Trying to signal to his players further afield to bunch.
Along the line.
He's got some freakish qualities, hasn't he? Just reached up with the one hand and
well, he knew he was going to get the
down.
contact, so he backed into it, put the one hand and says, I'm still going to have a crack at this and try and mark it, and he pulls it down.
20th possession for Daniel Kerr. Tyson Stengline. Open forward line. He sends it long. Lynch won't get there. Richards does.
Staker's got to be better there. He's got to be stronger at the contest. Get the ball down the ground, because that's a sin.
Well, he takes them on, Richards. I know they've probably got to kick 3 to 4 goals to steal this one, the Swans. Everett.
Pushing it back.
Play on advantage. Roberts Thompson. Bounces down the wing. Open forward line. McVeigh is peeling back. He's got it. After a little juggle, but it's a tough kick.
Yeah, it's a good kick, but at least they forced the Swans wide.
They have to attack this game, Sydney.
No one in the square on Michael O'Loughlin. He is all on his own in the goal square, Michael O'Loughlin.
Now Wilkes gets back. Nice off the boot. It's coming back.
kick.
Silence tells the story.
Well, Jason, comes from a direct play. Brent Staker doesn't compete in that contest. A little bit lazy and just wasn't hard of the contest. Sydney go virtually the length of the ground and score a goal. And I mean, you just can't do that in pressure football in big games. This is a big game. These sides, they've had some epics in the past, but I've got to be critical of Brent Staker there because he needs to raise the bar if he wants to be a consistent AFL player.
Two goals for Joe McVeigh. Side by side with Daniel Kerr in the middle. For this ball up. Every clearance vital now. And it's Seaby to go at it with Everett. Everett, a little flick.
Holding the jumper,
Daniel Kerr, yep.
Daniel Kerr, right out.
He plays on quickly. Seaby peels off. Everett thought it was a Swans free.
Play on.
Hand off to Jones. Stengline, no, but Lynch, yes. Wirrapunda, one-on-one, goal square. I'll try and rush this through the Swans.
Oh, no.
They don't. Staker on the line.
I hope he kicked it before the line. For a guy that was only inches short of the line, Brent Staker takes the biggest swipe at this kick. There was a good contest in the goal square. David Wirrapunda held his ground and the ball was up for grabs. They tried to thump it through Sydney, didn't get enough contact on the ball. And Johnny on the spot was Brent Staker. There's the big swing. Have a look at the kick he does.
Oh, yeah,
Boy.
easy. So well done, Mark Seaby. After the contest, ran forward. Good run from the half-back line by Brett Jones. That was that pace, getting the ball in the forward line. They need to do more of that.
71-52. So it's 4 or 5 goals, the equation now for the Swans. On the line, gee.
Oh, I tell you what, that's why Richards and also Craig Bolton are saying to the goal umpire, was he over the line?
No, he was on the line.
Normally you just drop it down and tow it through, but he's taken the big swing at it.
Big padding on those posts, mate.
Aren't you a relieved man?
The true West Coast Eagles speaking there. Seaby with the clearance. Bouncing ball. Malcheski attacks it well. Takes on Butler. Handball to his own advantage. That was clever. Ablett just as clever. Kick off the side to Goods. Matner slides it wide. Playfair beaten for it by Graham, who knocks it to Kerr, hands it back to Playfair. To Kirk. O'Loughlin calls in his direction. Almost, but not quite. O'Keefe dives in. Stolen by Bevan. McVeigh can run in. Otherwise, it's a goal anyway. This is a classic.
Well, the beauty about Sydney is every time West Coast have got a goal, they've responded within a minute and they've kept the pressure. The pressure keeps continuing, but just kept the ball alive. Great work by the forwards moving the ball, and I mean, McVeigh, if he hadn't kicked it, McVeigh was there to kick his third. So they're just running hard, Sydney. They continue to keep their work rate up.
Long way to go in this game. A long way to go.
Lee Colbert downstairs. Colby.
Yeah, boys, interesting 5 or so minutes for the West Coast Eagles. No Cox or Kerr. Also 38,802 people tonight at the ground.
Well, an important time for the players to stand firm while Cox and Kerr have a much-needed spell and then come on for the last 10 or 12 minutes of the game.
Yep, it's like the Lakers resting Kobe for one last roll of the dice. There he is, Daniel Kerr. 22 possession game for him so far.
And 2 goals. He's been brilliant. 4 clearances.
Dean Cox coming off a 30 possession game last week. 14 so far tonight. Jude Bolton handed that to Goods. Kick not so good. Wilkes, good fist toward the line, and Buchanan sees it out.
Gee, he's got some work rate, Adam Goods. He's got off to a slow start, but he got his side back into this game and certainly running the game out.
Tackle on Marston. Everett, Shepherd from Goods. Slips a couple of tackles to Jude Bolton. 50 from goal. Slips the pass to Bevan, who kicked the last.
Well, the amazing thing there is everyone ran away from Jude Bolton.
Yeah.
2 or 3 Eagles were worried about their opponents. They went back chasing them into the attacking 50, and no one bothered to put the pressure on Jude Bolton. Have a look at this. Marston goes straight by. Another one in the background goes straight by. He's got all the time in the world to sit back and find a teammate.
Self-survival in that situation. You mind your own man, so he doesn't do that. Kick the goal. Turn a row to Bevan and the Swans.
And the usual reward for kicking a goal. Straight off you come. He's kicked 2 in a couple of minutes, and he has a spell. He had the hot hand, Paul Bevan. It's more that comes back on, but not enough pressure on Spider Everett at the contest. He was able to get free from 2 or 3 opponents, and certainly no pressure on Jude Bolton allowed him to pick the best option.
He's a premiership player, Paul Bevan. Was in the wilderness for a little while. Didn't play in the losing grand final for the Swans. Played in the winning one. 71 to 64. Seaby with the palm. Selwood's ball. 10-11. Plays 9-10. 13th versus 5th. Sydney tried to hunt down a top 4 spot. West Coast trying to keep their season alive. Everett gets back in the hole.
That's a poor kick. That is a very poor kick from Adam Selwood. He's kicked it to the ruckman. He's taken enough time for the ruckman to be able to drop back in the hole and then kicked it to him.
Goods is calling for it, and if Goods calls, you give it. Gets the boos. He joined us late. He was reported in the opening term, Adam Goods, for a head-high bump. Ty Kennelly. Ed Barlow. Every West Coast player now ahead of him. He sends a long ball. Graham can't get a hand on it. Stengline, Braun, Glass, little fumble. Back to Braun. Lynch got one high. Umpire said no. Butler squeezes it to half forward. Good hands.
Kept it low, kept it in front of the forward, and if you can't mark it, he'll certainly get a free kick. So
is he within range, Staker? No, doesn't like his chances.
They don't want to have play on.
Jones, he shaped to play on but didn't step. Stengline hands out to Cox. He's caught. Picked back up by Jones. A wobbler.
Again.
Everett. He's filling the holes well at the moment.
He tried to be too smart by half, Brett Jones. He tried to draw the 50-metre penalty, and all he did was draw the play on call.
Did he take the step? Lewis Roberts-Thompson to O'Keefe. Houlihan. O'Keefe for the experience. Houlihan hunts him down. Glass, one-on-one. Leo Barry up forward, strangely enough. And he can't get back.
Boy.
You reckon Darren Glass is a relief man?
Well, here's the shot of Brett Jones. He moved sideways and he shaped the hand pass.
But Ryan O'Keefe had his arm around, so it's
why wasn't he pulling back from the man on the mark?
Yeah, he should have been 50.
He's got his back to play.
Graham, front spot. Cox bumped Jolly out of it. Jolly was hoping for a free, didn't get it. Jones.
Best thing for West Coast would be to kick a goal. They can't just save the game. They've got to keep attacking. They've got to take it on.
They continue to go in their forward 50 like they've done the last 3 or 4 times. They won't, Jason, because they're just kicking to Spider Everett or Jolly.
Staker, Slick to Wirapunda to Hunter, bumped by Kirk. That wasn't Brett Kirk-like.
No, but that's inexperience. That's Kirk getting caught in defence on a tall forward, feeling the need to make body contact, not reading the play.
Hunter will need to pinpoint a pass here, you would think.
They just can't keep bombing it long.
He tries to pinpoint 1-2. The man with the strong hands, Lynch, didn't hold it, but he gets the free.
We've been critical a couple of times tonight, Jacko, because he hasn't kicked the goal they've needed under pressure. Well, if ever they needed some breathing space and they needed Quentin Lynch to stand up, this is it here. This is it right now. It's a regulation kick for him. Distance, no problem. It's pretty much on the edge of the corridor, so no great angle.
Just the one behind tonight, Quentin Lynch.
The crowd will tell us very early.
That's what he has ahead of him. Full house at Subiaco.
Bang.
There's a lot of love in the room now.
And a relieved Glenn Chakovic.
This game ain't over yet because Sydney have been responding within the next minute and they put scoreboard pressure back on West Coast. But you said Brett Kirk, he found himself probably in unfamiliar territory, and it was good play by Adam Hunter, found the lead, played on David Wirapunda, but that was a fantastic kick. We put him on the acid and he delivered. Big Q, he's had another good game.
Yeah, 18 possessions, 10 marks, and kicked a goal now. Has worked very hard.
8 inside 50s too, so he's been a valuable contributor.
He's been their hero before, Quentin Lynch, famously dropped for the preliminary and the grand final in 2005, which the Eagles lost, but then played the year after, kicked 3 on grand final day. In the premiership, the Eagles won. Toe poke out of the middle. 8.5 minutes and counting. Good. Jude Bolton. O'Loughlin. Glass. It's been a good battle all night. Glass wins this. Back flank, Fletcher. Glass.
Oh, well played.
Davis. Kick not so. Yes, perfect. Houlihan. 2 young players combining there. Davis in game 3. And the mark to Staker.
He's had a better quarter, Brent Staker's been. He's had a bit of a mixed bag, but at least he keeps presenting himself and taking a couple of marks. Kicked an important goal. He's got to keep his work rate up.
They've got to control the footy, not run the clock down, but control the footy until they can get another scoring opportunity.
Bo Wilkes, another player in game 3. Quentin Lynch.
There it is. And that's the matchup. It's Quentin Lynch on Lewis Roberts-Thompson. LRT got his hands full a couple of times. Once Lynch takes front spot, if the kick's good, he's very hard to stop. Now, can he repeat the dose, Jacko? Well, this could be it.
It's there. What I liked about it, he's leading. He threw a bit of variation in his lead and stayed in the corridor, but put a lot more pressure on his direct opponent. And he's certainly getting better as this game's going on. His fitness is certainly an attribute to his play this year.
From 50, he more than just hooks it, almost misses everything. A behind, but even behinds at this stage of the game are handy.
Yeah, but they'll rue some of these misses if they don't get home, the Eagles.
It's still outside 2 goals, this lead right now. 11-12 to 9-10. Bevan, Richards.
They've caught them napping here.
Oh, Quentin Lynch. We've talked all night about his 1%ers. Kennelly, Bevan, Kennelly. And now Craig Bolton.
Got to keep the pressure up.
Kirk. And now Lewis Roberts-Thompson to the open side. Embley hunting him down, holds him up. McVeigh leads short. That's ignored. We've ticked into time on, final term. Jude Bolton and Fletcher.
That's an odd decision to kick to a contest wide with Jude Bolton when he had a couple of good hit-up leads. It was a strange decision from Lewis Roberts-Thompson, but pressure makes players make odd decisions.
These 2 teams just keep turning it on. Jones. Dragged down by McVeigh. And the umpire, Chris Donlan, will ball it up. Paul Roos, who's coached from the bench all night. In between whistling at quarter time and wishing Lee Colbert happy birthday at 3/4 time. Big pack around this ball up. It's only 12 players not around this ball up, and Goods with the don't argue. Hands off to Ablett. They haven't given it up yet.
Great smother.
Smother ricochets toward Braun. Kirk. Good tackle. He ducked low. Stolen by Ablett. Slick handball between players. Buchanan from 40. eats them alive.
Well, they kept the ball alive in their forward line. At that tackle here, the ball, previous tackle.
He just picks it out of his hands,
Yeah,
doesn't
but
he?
West Coast players played to the whistle, and the ball broke free, and the Sydney players continue to play the game. That was a bad bit of play by West Coast, because they should have locked that ball up. They had 3 numbers around the contest, and they'll wait for the whistle. But Sydney, to their credit, they keep responding. They keep their work rate up. Fantastic goal.
Oh.
Eamon Buchanan's down at centre half forward.
Yeah, and he was going for an Academy Award too. And the umpire was right onto it. He said, no, absolutely not. A little bit of contact. He went down like a bag of, no free kick.
Well, in some sports, you act like that, you get a free against you. 78 plays 70. It's an 8-point ball game. We're 23 minutes in, final term. Kirk kicks it off the deck. Wilkes, a handball and hope. Pritis made it look okay, but dragged down. Pack forms. Pritis again. Extracts it to half forward. Butler, his return tonight has been good. Back to Pritis. Work rate spectacular. Hunter hands it up. Fletcher chips it wide. Braun hands to it, but not the mark. Rakes it in. Caught. Gets it out. Ablett.
Broke 2 tackles.
Jolly. And he thumps it long. Jack and Kerr. Good battle. Kerr. Spectacular again. Jack just as good with a tackle. O'Keefe, Magna, Kirk, Jack got up, kicks it long. Adam Goods. Good spoil by Selwood. Out of play, a win for him. Inside 5 minutes to full time, and a pat on the head from Darren Glass.
He's fought back strongly, Adam Goods, to be a good player tonight, 21 possessions, but just a couple of times he tends to favour playing for the free kick. We've got blood here. You got to go, Eamon Buchanan. You're on your way.
Everyone catches their breath. Eamon Buchanan bleeding from the cheek.
A nice one.
And a gutsy little player, Eamon Buchanan. Will play his 100th game next week against the Saints at the Sydney Cricket Ground. It's game number 99 for him.
A breather won't hurt the West Coast Eagles. They've given their all tonight, but they're looking a slightly tired outfit. A little bit more run in the legs of the Swans.
Jolly and Cox with the palm. Goods must let that go to play for the free. Ball up. Clock stops. 4:36. Cox and Jolly time. Down to Jared Moore. Kicks it across the face. But suddenly a draw is one of the options.
Bit of inexperience there by Ryan Davies.
There must have been a miscommunication because Dean Cox tapped it straight there.
7-point ball game. 4 minutes 27 left.
Again, they can't run the clock down. Oh, this is a good setup here.
Embley to Braun, who can hold or go. He goes. Staker's short. Richards is with him. No push in the back.
Should have been.
Braun lays the tackle. Richards tucked up against the line. Slips it through Staker. Ablett got the handball up. Pritis. Bouncing ball. Stengline missed it. Kirk didn't. Hands it up to Kennelly. Takes on Hunter. Hands it up again. Bevan, chip kick. Adam Goods lurking inside 50. Sees the Sharon, wants it badly. Slaps it out. Maltreski! It's a 1-point ball game.
Oh, boy.
Adam Goods is running in this second half. He just ran to the contest as the camera's on him now. A well-deserved rest because he just had to get the football to, I guess, Malcheski, who finally kicked. Look at the tap, look at the tap. He just pushed it. He knew there was a contest coming. Well, that's great team football, and that's what this side is all about. They're all for one, and they play like it. Nothing new, Dwayne, 78-77.
Adam Goods said a couple of weeks ago the Indigenous Australians were born to play this game. He was accused of making a racist comment, but it was no more racist than saying the French make great chefs or the Germans make great cars. They are born to play, all right. And Goods has turned it on tonight. Fletcher to Cox.
What is left in the legs of the West Coast Eagles?
Sends it along. Hunter hunting it down. Tuck tackle against the line. That's the race pocket. And he can't dribble it behind, which would have been handy.
Oh, he just had to get it over to
He went the miracle.
Tyson Stengline. Tyson's asked him the question. He just had to pop it over. I mean, it's not a bad result because you'd rather an out of bounds than a point because they got a chance to create something here.
Cox front spot appeared to be held. Umpire not buying it. Get a ball up.
Everyone in the West Coast Eagles half of the ground. There's 2 pairs up in the centre square. The rest are in the forward 50. Cox
Thumps it down.
Oh,
Selwood
taken high.
No free.
Ducked into it. And the pressure's on the umpires as well because one decision could be crucial in this game.
Well, a loss here would absolutely end the West Coast season.
Be heartbreaking for West Coast.
Because they led by 6 goals at half-time if you just joined us.
Look at Goods.
Davis tackled by Goods, and the Sydney-born and bred boy takes it out of play for the West Coast.
But Davis was good too. He attacked it and he rode the tackle. He had to trap that ball.
Back into play. Cox and Kerr stand around it. Kerr, a Shepherd, Fletcher. Ball out of play. We're down to 2:45. 1 point the margin. Kerr barking instructions.
They've got to kick another goal, West Coast, to get home.
Curtis and Kirk. O'Keefe. Kirk. Out of play on the full. West Coast free. Curtis to take it. The new superstar of this midfield, Matt Priddis. Can go backwards if he wants to, but he thumps it to 50. 6 players fly. Ablett stays down. Bevan left it behind. Staker picks it up. Doesn't know what's at full forward. Thumps it long. It's out of play on the full.
He's got to get that.
It's a Swans ball.
Under pressure, the mistakes players make, we highlight them. It's easy sitting here in the box, but now a clean possession, and look at Sydney making the play.
Well, they've won some heartbreak against the West Coast.
That's 50. He anticipated the play on, and the umpire hadn't called it.
They have won some heartbreakers, the Swans. 1 point the margin. The umpire will bring it back. Yet the seconds continue to tick, and we've seen this a number of times. The seconds should not have been ticking there. The umpires bring it back. The clock must stop.
There are some tired Eagles trying to get behind the play. And look at this is just poor. This is poor.
Malcheski, bouncing ball, 70 from goal. It might come down to this pass. It might come down to this kick at goal. From 45, it's wide. And he's missed everything, but he could have tied the scores.
How does a bloke that's had the most possessions on the ground, 28, stand all on his own on one side of the ground and no one mans him up? That is an extraordinary let-off for West Coast.
How does he miss everything in that circumstance? Glass, well, he can't rush it behind now.
He has to.
He can't.
Oh!
He knew he couldn't. Boundary line looming. We'll get a ball in.
That is extraordinary.
Well, he couldn't rush it behind there.
No, but what about the kick from Embley? Boy.
Back into play. Clock ticks again. High on Jude Bolton. The umpire said ducked.
Oh, thank you, Adam. No. Yeah. Okay.
Someone yelled duck. Umpire Kennedy gave the free. Did he duck?
And he did duck, but then he got taken high and ripped off the ball. So he really had no option but to pay the free kick, the umpire.
To either tie the scores or give the Swans the lead. I haven't led all night.
Kicked it.
They lead now.
Well, can they raise a final effort, West Coast? This will be a heartbreaking loss if they can't. Sydney calling all their players to come down behind the ball. Michael O'Loughlin will stay forward, but the rest of them,
going back.
they're all going back.
The runner's been out. It's told them there's a minute And 20 left on the clock. That's a big pressure kick.
Yeah, and what West Coast have to do is throw their players forward. You can't allow loose Sydney players behind the footy.
Big clearance.
It comes down to this. They have not seen the lead all night, the Sydney Swans. 32 minutes into the final term, they take the lead. Jolly, Fletcher, Braun, Jack. No one home for Sydney. It'll be a West Coast ball with 1 minute left. Wilkes needs to hit a target.
He's got to run it up. He's got to take as much space as he possibly can and get it up there with pace.
Jones, the players know how long left. They've all been told. Runners went out. O'Loughlin, he can milk some seconds here.
Poor option from Brett Jones.
He can milk 15 at least.
They just haven't had the composure to get the job done, West Coast.
They'll hold on.
Yep.
They'll maintain possession.
West Coast have got to man up. And
it's got Goods.
They're not manning up.
He can go back to Adam Goods and he knows it. And he goes all the way back to Matner. Warapunda. Spoil. Matner takes them on inside 30 seconds. It's all about this kick. Leo Barry. They led by 6 goals at half-time, the West Coast Eagles. The Sydney Swans did not kick a goal in the opening term. A 6-0 opening term for the West Coast. And this will break their season. Cox slaps it down. You'll feel the heartbreak. A full house at Subiaco in tears, but jubilation for the Sydney Swans. The silence tells the story. This one's been stolen 12-11-83 to 11-12-78. These two grand contenders of the last few years have played out another classic at Subi. Lee Colbert downstairs with Paul Roux.